my god, it's so hot. I just came back and I have a book haul. I made quite a big purchase this time around. I bought these off of Book Outlet, which is essentially a website that sells discounted books. I'm pretty sure they're discounted because there's either too much inventory or overstock, maybe. I'm not too sure. I got these all for less than $8 each. I have Jamaica Kincaid's Annie John. This is my next read. I was planning to read this over the summer, and I'm very glad that I'm finally getting into Jamaica Kincaid. I've mentioned in a previous video, very briefly, that I wanted to read some of Jamaica Kincaid's works. This is about a mother and daughter relationship, and I believe their relationship begins to falter once the daughter starts growing up. I've heard lots of great things about Jamaica Kincaid. I'm very glad to be able to finally read something by her. The Unpassing by Chia Chia Lin. This is about a Taiwanese immigrant family who moves to America in hopes to achieve the American dream. They're bounded with a whole bunch of misfortunes, and the American dream that they've been dreaming of is just tearing apart the family. Collection of short stories. This is Hardly Children by, I'm gonna butcher this, Laura Adamczyk. I apologize if I said that wrong. I've heard that this is an uncomfortable read. There's a lot of mixed opinions about the short stories in these. I like anything that makes me uncomfortable, so. And then I have Bitter Water Opera by Nicolette Palek. A dancer comes across this abandoned theater and she dances in it until the day she dies. A college student, I believe, she's like a fine arts college student. She's just trying to get her life put together again, comes across a picture of the dancer and writes a letter to her, and then the dancer appears. So it's got this mix of realism and fantasy. I also have Seven Steeples by Sarah Baum, and it talks about this couple who moves to the Irish countryside. They live this very ritual-like, mundane lifestyle up until they see this mountain, and they made it their goal to climb that mountain. 7 years go by, they have yet to climb the mountain, and their life is still just as mundane. This looks pretty interesting, but once I flipped through it, the layout looks very interesting. And finally, another collection of short stories. This is Wednesday's Child by Yi-Yoon Lee. I like this cover. It talks about loss, death, violence, estrangement. Can you tell I have a preference in books? These are all the books. And now I have no idea where to place them. My shelf is quickly running out of space. I forgot to record several days ago, but I went to Top Drawer in Soho. I only went there for one sole reason, and it was to take a look at the Paper Republic journals. I've been eyeing on that journal for, I want to say like 3 or 4 months, but I promised myself that I would only buy it as a graduation gift for myself, which is in less than a year. So I am really holding myself back. My first biggest mistake was stepping into that store in general, because the moment I saw those journals and touched them, I wanted to cave in so bad. And then my second biggest mistake was talking to the sales associate. He and we were having a pretty lengthy conversation just talking about Paper Republic journals. He brought out his personal Paper Republic journal, and It was so gorgeous. I believe it was the portfolio in petrol blue, the patina of that petrol blue color. Got me reconsidering my color choice. I was so blown away. And ever since my visit to Top Drawer, I've been opening the Paper Republic website at least twice every day and just scrolling through the website mindlessly, even though I'm pretty sure I've recognized and memorized all of their products by now. Anyways, I could share my journal ecosystem as of right now. I carry 3 books with me. It's not a lot, it's not that heavy either, but you know, with a leather journal, I could keep all of them in one place and they're not of different sizes like this. I first have this bright orange notepad, and this is where I keep my to-do lists. I'm working under an internship and also for a summer job, so making to-do lists is a must, and I do it almost every single day. I love making to-do lists and lists in general. It actually gives me a lot of joy to be making lists. And then I have this tiny journal. This is a notebook from Muji. It's the A6 size, and it's the square grid line paper. I know lots of people like using ruled and dotted notebooks. I've personally have worked with dotted books before because I used to bullet journal. I wouldn't say I hate it, but I don't think it worked for me. So when I switched over to like grid line paper, I cannot go back. This tiny notebook is my commonplace. Commonplace, you just throw anything and everything into one single notebook without having to care about it being perfect. It is a whole reason why I even decided to go back into journaling. It's working out really well for me because I pick up this book very often. I keep random notes in here. I have like schedules, more lists of random things, study notes, my elevator pitch, book notes. I also have random math calculations as well. I've had this since my very first year of college, so well over 3 years now. And even though it seems like a long time and I've only filled up halfway, considering how tiny of a book this is, I would say that's already a pretty big accomplishment for me because I used to never finish any of the books that I've written in. And then I have a larger size in that same format. It's an A5 from Muji as well. And this is my personal journal. So I just write random journal entries whenever I feel like it. And more lists because there's never not enough lists to make. I have a wish list, perfume wish list, a list of things that gives me joy, reading ratings, a list of artworks I really like. And this is recent, but I made some August prompts just so that I could get into the gist of consistently journaling again. I'm just writing like 1 to 2 sentences, maybe like a list, or just several words of things that applies to the prompt. One of the prompts that I've included was go out or stay in. And I'm not even going to have to explain why. I'm just going to write out one or the other. I think that's a more efficient way of journaling, for me at least, because I've been journaling ever since I was young. I have 2 bullet journal notebooks. Those were so time consuming. I honestly didn't even consider it a hobby anymore. It just felt more like an assignment that I have to do. And it's an assignment that I forcefully put on myself. With this kind of journal ecosystem, it would get me back into the routine of journaling in a more healthy manner and consider it as a hobby. While we're here, I might as well share some book updates. I'm reading Small Boat by Vincent Delacroix or Delacroix on my Kindle. It's been a while since I last picked up my Kindles, which is why I decided to read Small Boat on here. I'm 85% in, and I am very glad to say that I am enjoying the book a lot more than I thought. It's making me question my own morals, which I think is kind of interesting. I am getting along with the book so far. I believe it was also shortlisted for the International Booker Prize. For shortlisted, it was well deserved. The Booker Prize long list is actually out right now, and I've read through several of the summaries. Don't know if I'm going to pick any of them up other than one of them. I think one of them was called Endling. That plot sounded so outrageous, but very intriguing, so maybe I'll read that. And I also have Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid. I have yet to read this. I definitely want to get through it this summer. And I have a book on hold, but it is in transit right now, and it's My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. Hopefully I could get through it before summer ends.
I'm just so shy. Listen to music. Yeah, when you guys are done with the cabinets and everything, yeah.
This is how my bookshelf is looking like so far. Um, it's quite crowded. I've shown my bookshelf before in a previous video, and it looks a lot different. I used to order all of my books based on their height, but I've decided to scrap that, and I've moved all my NYRBs to the center. I also randomly scattered my newly purchased books all across. I took out Annie John by Jamaica Kincaid because I plan on reading it, so it's just been sitting on my desk. And because it is getting quite busy, I want to free some space on this shelf. I have a whole bunch of albums on this side, and I've been meaning to put these elsewhere. I just don't know where else to put them. And then over on this side is where I keep all of my jewelry. And as much as I would like to rearrange this spot and place all of my jewelry somewhere else, there's only so much space in my room to be scattering these little pieces of jewelry. And I actually wear jewelry almost every single day. So I frequent this spot quite often. And if I were to place these somewhere else, there would be a very high chance I wouldn't remember where I put them. I have to figure out what to do with this spot. Oh, also, I have this. These are the books from the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I don't have the very first book of the series, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, because I lent it to my sister because she wanted to read it, but these are hardcovers, and if I'm being honest, I don't even reach for these books anymore. I haven't even read this one yet, but I did finish the other three. And I don't know, after I've decided to read a wider range of books other than Japanese literature, these ones just don't stand out to me as much anymore. So I definitely want to either sell them, give these away, give them to my friends maybe, but I'm not too sure yet. Also, if you can't tell already, I only collect paperbacks, so because these were the very first few books that I started collecting, they're all in hardbacks. And I don't really like having hardbacks in my collection, so we'll see what I want to do with that. Definitely want to clear this shelf up just so that I could find an excuse to buy more books. I'm aware that this video is getting quite lengthy, so I do want to finalize my thoughts and reading updates before ending this video. I think I've completely disregarded mentioning this book at all throughout this video, but I finished Loved and Missed by Susie Boyd. I actually completed this during the middle to late July. I am glad to say that I have found the book to recommend to those who ask me, what book should I read? Because this is that book. I will say it is the highlight of my 2025 reads so far, other than The Vet's Daughter by Barbara Commons, but this one is placed higher. When I finished reading this, I was left staring at the wall, recounting everything that was written in this. And even after a month, I constantly think about this book, mainly because a lot of the topics written in Loved and Missed has a similarity between the two books that I'm reading currently. I'll speak more about this during my end of the year reading wrap up. And speaking of which, I want to share my 2 reading updates. I'm sure these books look very familiar to you with the amount of times I've mentioned them so far. With Annie John, I am around the halfway mark, and I actually finished My Brilliant Friend earlier this morning. I really liked it, and I understand why so many people place a lot of emphasis and give so much love to this book. Safe to say, I will be reading the second part of the series. However, they are really long books, and I don't know when I should read the second part, mainly because there's a lot of characters, and I have a really difficult time remembering all of these names, their relationships and connections with one another. So I'm afraid if I were to prolong the second book and choose not to go straight into it after reading this one, I'm just going to forget their roles, who they are as a person, and how they move the plot forward. So I am still debating on when I should read the book. Maybe it's just best for me to wait for the right timing and then figure out the relationships and each of the characters when I read the second book. And I'm really liking Annie John. I'm getting along with the book. At first, I liked this one a lot more than My Brilliant Friend, but after reading My Brilliant Friend, I would put them around the same level. I was really reluctant to read both of these simultaneously because they have a lot of overlapping topics regarding girlhood and the coming of age theme. However, the authors wrote these topics in their own respective manner, and I think that's how they were able to differ in their own unique way. That's why I couldn't help but constantly think about Loved and Missed while reading these two, because they all talk about coming of age, motherhood, family dynamics, female friendships, but because all of them are written differently, have their own separate plots, it actually opened more perspectives and made me realize how complex these relationships and dynamics are, especially when it comes to the effect it has on us as humans. Okay, I am all talked out. I actually have to run some errands today, including returning this back to the library, but I will end the video here. Thank you to those who decided to stick through up until the very end, listening to me talk for minutes on end. I highly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed your summer, and I will see you once fall arrives.